welcome to Eye on India. I'm Shireen Bhan. The next GST Council meeting is on the 6th of October and it has its task cut out for itself. It is time to address the gaps in the landmark goods and services tax regime. Exporters are complaining of blockages of working capital as refunds are getting delayed. A Finance Ministry circular, though, claims that 66% of exporters face no cash flow blockage, and that offers no solace to a sector that contributes 20% to a slowing economy and is staring at difficulties in the months ahead. Now, the functioning of the GST portal continues to be a challenge. In fact, there is a crucial meeting of the panel headed by Sushil Modi to address the problems plaguing the GST and in Bengaluru tomorrow. The Finance Minister has been meeting with various stakeholders to try and address some of the concerns that they have raised. But is all of this going to be enough to calm the nerves of the lakhs of taxpayers who are facing these challenges on the ground? Joining me on the show today, Moveen Godino, GST Council member and Panchayat Minister from the state of Goa. Also on the show with us, Ajay Sahai, Director General and CEO of the Federation of Indian Export Organisation, Bipin Sapra, partner at EY, and Najib Shah, the former chairman of the Central Board of Excise and Customs, will also join us. Mr. Godino, if I can come to you, sir, there is a crucial meeting of the GST Council on the 6th of October. What we are given to understand is that the Council will take up issues pertaining to the cash flow problems that exporters are faced with, as well as some of the compliance-related issues that all taxpayers are faced with under the GST regime. Can you give us a sense of what is on the agenda of the Council's meeting and what will be the priority?
The first thing is such a big tax reform, indirect tax reform, has come about in such a large country, in such a large economy, which I would always classify as a combination of several small countries that India is. In spite of that, our experience of a little over 100 days is not so bad, as I would say. Practical problems are going to be there, whether it is filing your returns, as most of the complaints are emanating from small traders particularly, and from different parts of the country, of the portal not functioning good enough to accommodate everything in a manner that there would have been even more taxpayers complying. But if you look at the migration that has taken place, 85% plus people have already migrated. There is an addition, I think, of almost 19 lakhs new taxpayers. So it is not so bad as it is made out to be. As far as exporters are concerned, they are facing the difficulty. In fact, this meeting, what you are saying on the 6th, was supposed to be a video conferencing meeting. But because we know there are some difficulties, we would like to discuss them threadbare, arrive at solutions, or try to do away with what are the bottlenecks of a new law which is implemented. We will be doing that, and that's we are meeting on the 6th.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Mr. Godino, when you say that, there are issues. The transition perhaps could have been far more disruptive, but it has been smoother than was anticipated. But the problems that people are facing on the ground, the practical challenges, are also real. But coming back to the meeting on the 6th, can you specify for us what are the specifics that you hope to address on the 6th? Because, for instance, when I look at what has already been announced by the government in order to deal with the problems facing the exporters, they've done away with the need to furnish bank guarantees. There is the possibility of moving from monthly filings to quarterly filings. Is there consensus now within the Council that these decisions have to be taken on the 6th?
There is a line of communication even outside the GST Council where we do send mails, we exchange views, we get the ground reality ascertained, and that's how we know what is the problem of the exporters. We know what is the problem faced by small traders. We know what is the problem faced as far as complying filing of several returns.
So what will you do, sir? What will you? So how do you hope to address it on the 6th is the question, sir.
I think after 6th is over, I think most of the problems would have been readdressed in a manner where the government would stretch itself in practically solving the problem to an extent that there would be more compliance, there would be more people migrating, or those who experience difficulties, those difficulties will not be there. exports which have, I would say, for a little period, the exporters have suffered. Already some things are being done. I don't want to spell out, then I would be preempting certain key decisions which I am aware. But I can safely say that whatever needs to be readdressed will be readdressed in a manner that if we are experiencing so much of, I would say, success, I would call it, because people were expecting much more difficulties than what we are facing at present, whether it is in terms of collection of revenue under IGST, CGST, SGST, as well as looking at the figures. I don't think we have gone drastically wrong as some people are trying to project.
No, well, at least as far as the revenue collection is concerned, the number is trending in line with the numbers that we saw for the month of July. So July and August trending in line with the government expectation of 90,000 crores plus. But you have told us, Mr. Godino, that you believe a lot of those issues will be addressed on the 6th, and you don't want to give us, you don't want to preempt the decisions of the council. I understand that and appreciate that. But let me go across to Ajay Sahai of the Exporters Organization. Mr. Sahai, to start with, the government says that the claims being made by exporters are exaggerated. If I look at the press release that's been put out by the Ministry of Finance, it says that as far as 66% of the value of exports is concerned, there is no blockage of funds. So can you once and for all explain to us what is the kind of locked up working capital that the export sector is faced with today?
In fact, exporter, particularly micro and small exporters, they are facing huge liquidity problem. It has been compounded due to the delay in the refund to the export sector. But I think the money which should have been going back to the production may have to be used for the payment of the taxes, which is not a very good sign. So on the one hand, we are requesting for immediate release of the fund which have been blocked for the month of July and August. But on a long-term basis, we are requesting the government to look into some of the other countries also where the VAT or GST system is in place, where any inputs required for export production has been provided exemption from the GST. Because the liquidity is not only with regard to July and August. We have to find a solution which provides a sustained solution to the field of the exporters.
What is the number in terms of the blocked working capital at this point, Mr. Sahai? There's all kinds of numbers that are doing the rounds. Can you give us, I mean, FIO must have a number that you're working with. What is that number?
In fact, the difference between what we have given and what has been clarified by the Department of Revenue is on account of the two factors. One is that our estimate is based on the projection for 4 months, July, August, September and October, where revenue is clarified only for the month of July. Secondly, our figure is also factoring the export of the services, where the revenue figure is only of the merchandise. But the short point is whether it's X or Y. If there is delay in the refund, it affects the competitiveness of exports, and situation has come to a level
I just want the number, sir. I just want the number. No, I understand that, and you made that point earlier, but can you leave me with that number? Yeah.
Our number is that for July to October, the number comes to around 65,000 crores.
65,000 crores. All right. Let me go across to Mr. Najib Shah before I bring Bipin into this conversation. Mr. Shah, thanks very much for joining us. As the former chief of the CBEC, sir, I would imagine that perhaps these are problems that were anticipated to some extent, but haven't fully been addressed. And these are practical realities or practical challenges that taxpayers are facing on the ground. Specifically on this working capital blockage issue, what do you believe is the best solution forward, sir? Because I'm given to understand that that's going to be a decision that will be taken on the 6th of October by the GST Council.
Well, it's a pleasure being on your program, Shireen. As was mentioned in the press release of the CBEC itself, a lot of the amounts mentioned relate to drawback, and this is basically means that input taxes which go in the manufacture of products which are exported are being refunded, and that is a well-established practice which has been going on for some time now. and been extremely successful too. So drawback is being given regularly. Apart from drawback, then you have taxes which are paid at the time of the goods itself being cleared, and there again the options are available either for clearing it under a legal undertaking without payment of taxes, or you pay the taxes and you get a refund. I'm not very aware of the figures, like you rightly were discussing with the previous participant. The figures are a matter of concern. I do not know whether these numbers are indeed as high as made out to be, but I'm sure solutions will be worked out, and the GST Council meeting scheduled for 6 should be addressing these issues.
What do you believe should be the solution, sir? And as you said, the Ministry of Finance has put forward its explanation, and they believe that this concern about blocked working capital is exaggerated. We've heard from Ajay Sahai and FIO and their argument defending that. But if I also look at the release that's coming from the government, when they decided to do away with the need to furnish a bank guarantee for small exporters, they've also said they hope the issue of cash blockage is expected to be partially addressed by this measure, but more measures are under consideration. So clearly, the government is seized of the matter, and we could expect more measures to be announced on the 6th. What do you believe are the most likely measures? What would work the best on the ground, Mr. Shah?
The CGST and the IGST acts as they stand today contemplate zero rating, which means you pay your taxes and you get your refunds, which have all been guaranteed within fixed timelines as spelled out in the law and the rules. I don't know whether the government can be looking at doing away with this, because I think that's what is being told now when they talk of blockade of capital, that these monies which are to be refunded in effect means that capital gets blocked, and to that extent there's delay. I don't know whether the government will be in a position to do away with this requirement for payment of taxes and then getting the refund. I think it's a very, very difficult call which the government will have to take at that point of time.
Okay, Bipin Sapra, let me come to you now. And you've heard what all of our participants have to say. You were, in fact, part of that meeting that took place with the finance minister. And there is a long list of challenges that the government is faced with and the council is faced with, from issues pertaining to the car leasing industry to export-related issues, compliance-related issues. In fact, we're now on the deadline of the GSTR1, at least as far as large corporations are concerned. Bipin, the top challenges that you believe require attention and focus today?
Shireen, my view would be that, and that's what came out in the meeting with the finance minister when he heard us patiently, was that first, the exporters have to be given their due, whatever the credit blockages, whatever the cash blockages are there. And you have to realize that the cash blockages which were there were not there in the pre-GST regime, especially because whatever was being imported, if it was going for an export or if it was being cleared from a domestic industry, there were various benefits, various exemptions available. Now we understand that these exemptions cannot be made very clearly available. But as Mr. Najib Shah said, zero rating is something which is a possibility and it should be definitely considered. It's already there in SEZs. So why not put it out there for the exporters as well? And we have a GSTR2 mechanism very much out there, which can be used for monitoring any goods or services which are going in for which are going to be finally used for export. That's one. Compliance is a huge issue, and there was a lot of talk about quarterly returns being put in place instead of monthly returns. Monthly returns with the present GSTN, it looks like a difficult process, not only for the small taxpayers, but for everybody out there. So it would solve the dual purpose. The tax would be paid monthly. The returns can be filed quarterly, and till the GSTN really settles down, gets its due, this would be a good process for maybe this fiscal year. Then car leasing has been an issue. People who bought cars earlier, they were at a much lower rate, and now with 43%, 53%, whatever the rates are, it's huge hit for the people who are actually on a car lease. So all of these issues are with the government, and a lot more issues are with the government. they have to take it up as much as possible.
And I guess it will depend on what the priorities, and I would imagine the priority at this point in time is to really address a large part of the economy that's feeling the pain related to the export sector. We are going to take a break, gentlemen, but when we return, we'll talk about the compliance-related issues and what the way forward could be. That and more when we get back.